sportstuff.com. We are back. This is Paladino Live. This is episode 2. It is the day after the Super Bowl, February 3rd, 2008. And I'm still in shock at what took place yesterday. The New York Giants defeat the formerly undefeated New England Patriots. And it's all over. The Patriots no longer a perfect team, no perfect season. The whole thing gone. The whole thing completely gone to waste. It's all over. And what a shame it was for Patriots fans and just for the Patriots team and Randy Moss. I felt awful for. But anyhow, first things first. This is thesportstuff.com. This is Paladino Live, as I said. And we have a voice line here. And it is 916-912-4263. That is 916-912-4263. Also, we invite you to join our message boards at thesportspodcasters.com/boards. thesportspodcasters.com/boards. So, now that we have that out of the way, it is time to dive into Paladino Live, but also I might as well mention, again, my YouTube at YouTube Paladin Joe. Well, or youtube.com/Paladin Joe. youtube.com/Paladin Joe. Check that out. I haven't made a new video lately, but if you haven't checked them out, please give them a look. I talk sports, video game reviews, and boy, that Gyromite view has exploded of late, and I appreciate any of you out there that may be listening that are subscribed to my YouTube. That is wonderful. Over 1,500 views now on that video, so I'm excited. And there will be a new video game review at some point, hopefully within the next 2 weeks. I'm possibly looking into something. But now on to sports. The New England Patriots, again, it's over. I was in utter shock yesterday. I know a lot of people picked the Giants, but here's the thing. Most people picked the Giants because they wanted the Patriots to lose, and that's just all there is to it. It's not because they're great football minds, as PA likes to say on KFAN, but, I can't root for a team necessarily, or I can't say I'm outsmarted somebody just because I don't like their team and I'm, picking for the underdog. So let's get that out of the way here. Overall, the New York Giants, though, deserved to win the game. They outplayed the Patriots. I was surprised the score wasn't much, more in the Giants' favor most of the way, especially about by the third quarter. It looked like the Giants were going to win the game. And despite the fact the Patriots tend to always play kind of down for a little while, at least later in the season they started to do that. They'd play down and then get it done at the end, kind of like what the LA Lakers used to do in the Shaq and Kobe era. But Not to be. All the great things that were going on are completely over now, and it's hard to say that a 18-1 season is a failure, but in this case it is, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. I do believe the Patriots will be back. I do believe they will return to the Super Bowl at some point, be it next year or the year after. It's not over. Let's not kid ourselves. It's not over, unless, of course, this news with Bill Belichick is factual, that he's been cheating really since 2001. Now that sucks. So definitely stay tuned for that type of stuff. New York Times reporting that Bill Belichick had the St. Louis Rams end zone plays recorded. How they're practicing their end zone plays during the week before the Super Bowl, recorded, and conveniently the Rams were stifled several times in that Super Bowl in the red zone. So, yeah, there's a little bit of fingerprints of something there. So, for the good of the National Football League, the good of Patriots fans, but most of all the NFL and its integrity, let's hope to God this isn't true. I mean, right now, I'm the little kid standing next to Shoeless Joe Jackson saying, "Say it ain't so, Joe. Say it ain't so." So, Bill, say it ain't so, please. Please say it ain't so. I just hope to God this is not, the beginning of the end for the Patriots in a big way, like the Golden Gophers, Minnesota Gopher fans out there, the basketball program, how they played ineligible players, and their Final Four appearance gone, nullified. Completely nullified. They finished the season 0 and whatever it is, 33 or 39-ish, however many college games they play. I don't really keep track as much as I should with college basketball. But could you imagine if the New England Patriots, if this thing was blown wide open, could you imagine if they were to have championships disqualified? That would be depressing. I don't care if you hate this team. I don't care if you hate football. That would be depressing, It would kill a good thing, it would kill a good sport. It would really hurt the integrity. So, again, say it ain't so, say it ain't so. But obviously none of it proven yet. So, again, we shall see. Also today I do plan on talking Timberwolves yet again, but of course last night's game going to be a topic today, not the whole time, of course. But I couldn't get to sleep till almost 3 o'clock yesterday, and that is not like me. I'm not a night owl. I'm also not somebody that's a morning person either. I'm somewhere in the middle. I could go to bed, midnight, 1 o'clock. I couldn't get to bed till 3 because it just was spinning in my head. What the heck that was? Last night that game was just spinning over and over and over in my head, and I felt so bad for Randy Moss. I really did. That guy played so many years here. I don't care what anybody says about he was, a bad egg and all that stuff. Well, in New England, he really did everything he could this year to stay out of trouble. But everything just to completely unravel. I mean, a 50 touchdown pass season for Tom Brady, 23 touchdown reception season for Moss. To see all that completely disappear, just vanish. It kind of broke my heart a little bit. It kind of did. And the Patriots will remain my second favorite team, behind, the only reason I like the Vikings more is because I'm a Minnesotan, born and raised. So that's just how that is. But to see the whole thing unravel, man alive. Brady didn't throw an interception. He did fumble, though. The Giants got nothing out of the fumble. But just to see Tom Brady, I'm wondering if he was hurt more than was let on. Like, I heard something even about shoulder injury to go along with the ankle, so who knows? He just wasn't the same quarterback in the playoffs. And that may be why some of the experts picked the Giants to win, and I hope that's why. That's more of a momentum thing rather than I'm going to be Mr. Brave Man and I'm going to pick the New York Giants to win the Super Bowl because I'm going to be a genius on Monday when just in case the Giants win, and if they don't, well, they lost to a perfect team. What do you expect? There's a lot of that stuff out there. But Fran Tarkenton, the former Viking and Giant, for a short time, picked the New York Giants to win on the air on KFAN. He was with Chad Hartman, Fran Tarkenton, he must have seen something. He did say something about the momentum and how, 10 road wins is insane. That was a big concern of mine as a, Patriots fan going into this game, that this thing is, this is not going to be easy. This is going to be a close game. Never once did I think the Patriots were going to spank these guys. Excuse me. But I thought that, I seriously thought this was going to be, Patriots were going to get it done. They're going to hold the Lombardi again. You're going to see Randy Moss with that big smile, ear to ear. He finally got his championship. Like he said he was going to get, years ago, he's saying, I'm going to get me a Super Bowl ring. I don't know if it's in Minnesota or somewhere else. That was not a good quote. People were pissed off. But still, at least he would have done what he said, I guess you could say. But really, the story of the day was the New York Giants defense. First, Eli Manning second, though. In that second half, Eli Manning looked like a great player. He really did. The way he just went out there and drove his team, to the end. I was at first going to think that it was going to be like Brady carrying his team against the Cincinnati, carrying his team like Joe Montana did against the Cincinnati Bengals in '88 at the end and win a close one. But instead, it was Eli Manning doing that. That final drive when I'm not sure I know the name of the player on the Patriots that had him in the grasp. It was like an extent of the arm away from being a sack. and Manning kept his footing. He slipped loose just barely, and boy, he got that 20-yard pass, completed. I couldn't believe it. I was just looking at Paul, my friend Paul Tuniverse Caniff, who was watching the game with me yesterday. Paul will be on the show someday, probably to talk a little video games, maybe a little sports, but I just turned over to him and said that was just absolutely amazing. Obviously, Paul, not a happy camper about what took place. Just couldn't believe it. Yeah, Tyree was the player. I almost forgot his name, but yeah, that was the man who pulled in that ridiculous catch off his helmet and somehow came down without the Patriot defender. I'm not sure if it was Samuel or who it was, but it was very close. Very close. That ball could have been stripped out of his hands, but he somehow hung on. I mean, that was pure passion, pure desire on Manning and Tyree there. That was just two players saying, this is our year and not yours, and that's what happened. That's how championships are won. That was guts and glory, and congratulations to the New York Giants and the pedigree. I'm mentioning you once again on YouTube, the pedigree. Congratulations to your team, as they were warriors in this postseason. They proved to the world that they deserved, to be in the Super Bowl because, they beat an undefeated team, which is just, I've never seen an upset quite like this. I guess Eli Manning's the next Joe Namath now. Broadway Eli, I guess, if that works, kinda. Even though the Giants don't really play in New York City, they play in East Rutherford, New Jersey, I believe. So that's just how that goes. And anything else on the game really to mention? Just that play to Moss. I really thought that was going to be it. When Brady hit Moss in the end zone, it's like, there it is. Randy Moss, finally. He's going to get his championship, and how cool was that? It was like Montana to Rice, finishing up, a tough opponent and bringing home a ring yet again for Brady, but finally went for Moss in the end. But then the problem with the Patriots also in this game, I think they came in a little too cocky. When Samuel broke up a pass to Burris in the end zone earlier in the game, he's all slapping his chest and saying, oh yeah, it's all me, baby, all me. When I was like, okay, let's not get too cocky here. And then Moss got a touchdown. He looked like he was just going to be kind of like, all right, this game ain't over yet, kind of. But then all of a sudden he started doing that fish dance or whatever the heck it was, and it's like, dude, there's 2:44 left, and Eli Manning is, all of a sudden hitting his receivers here. Let's not get too excited yet. They had 3 timeouts remaining too. Let's not forget. So definitely not time to celebrate. The Patriots defense let them down in that fourth quarter, and I'm surprised Moss, was celebrating that way. It's not about dancing in front of a camera. It's about making sure that clock hits 0 first before you start kind of acting like you're, Mr. Superman. So that was a couple things I was not impressed with last night. Other than that, I guess that's pretty much it when it comes to my comments on the Super Bowl. So I will return very shortly. I'm going to just pause real quick, and I will return to talk a little Timberwolves basketball. There, I am right back in it again. I apologize. I just needed to get a little warm drink. It is cold here right now, very cold. It's snowing out. And that's pretty much how things go when it's basketball season. You get a little cold air, so obviously it's winter time. It's my favorite sports time of the year, after the Super Bowl and before March Madness, because then it's just straight up NBA, baby. NBA. It's my favorite sports time of the year. And it is time to talk Wolves as they continue their positive run. They've won 2 in a row. And just waiting for my computer to load here. Bear with me. The Wolves do win 2 games in a row. They defeat the Clippers most recently. And before that, they defeated, let's see, this computer is really slowing up here. I apologize. They defeated the Chicago Bulls at home, and they are on a pretty good run here. They're trying to go for number 3 tonight. They're playing Houston Rockets. I believe it is a home game, and yes, it is. So the Wolves, I will be catching that game again tonight on Fox Sports Net. But really, this is just impressive. And since my last show, Randy Foye returned to the court. So good news for Wolves fans, but here's the thing. It's great to have him back. But, I think he's going to have a little bit of the kind of year Rashad McCants did last year, and he came back from his long injury. And against the Clippers, he only got 5 points and 2 assists in the game in 24 minutes. That's a lot of time to do a little bit of damage, at least get 12 points or something. But, yeah, Randy Foye, I'm not really expecting him to really go on a tear here for a little while. And, man, the curiosity is killing me because, you look at Brandon Roy, he's an all-star already, and he's leading his team to looks like a playoff berth, maybe even a division championship. And it's crazy. It's crazy what they're doing with the Portland Trail Blazers. So Randy Foye, I really hope to God that he can show the world that, hey, it's not like Brandon Roy is way better than him. I'd like to see Foye come out and be good just like Roy. Ugh, that's the problem. This Roy Foye thing, drives everybody crazy because now that's that trade the Wolves did a few years back in the draft with, Foye and Roy and all that good stuff. But, it's going to you're either going to get scrutiny or praise. And so far the Blazers are the winners. But I really hope Randy Foye emerges here in the next 2 years or so to say, hey, this trade is pretty even, or maybe even the Wolves got the better player. Wouldn't that be cool? If Randy Foye turned out to be even better than Brandon Roy, that would be the bomb. The funny part is, the cool part about that most recent game against the LA Clippers, Al Jefferson only played 30 minutes, 29 minutes, 58 seconds. Yeah, that's 30 minutes, I'd say. They didn't even have to play him in the fourth quarter. He just sat out, no foul trouble, no injuries. Just, he only had two fouls. So that's pretty cool. The Wolves just, chilled, and he still had 25 points and 11 rebounds. So there's a guy who's making do with his time played. So that's pretty cool stuff when it comes to Al Jefferson, as he continues to be a great player. A week ago, he was the NBA Player of the Week. So let's hope he can keep this up. Maybe not quite at the exact pace he's been at, because he's playing like a superstar, super duper star. But we'll see what happens. There were a couple call-ins this week. I'm going to play one for you now. Hope you can hear it. Here's one. Well, now we're going to wait for Winamp to open. That's the problem. As it's still taking.
Calling for Paladino live, and I want to say that Paladino is the best in the business.
You may not have heard that. That's a little quiet. I'm going to try it one more time. I apologize for this.
Hi, I'm calling for Paladino live, and I want to say that Paladino is the best in the business.
And I appreciate that. That sounds like Andre. Andre, who I talked with on Yahoo, he went to my school years ago. The only thing is, it is Paladino live, not Paladino, but thank you for that, Andre. If that is you, it does sound like you. And not sure if I'm quite the best in the business just yet, but hey, it's the thought that counts, and I appreciate that. I appreciate your support. There is one other call-in, and this one is from Farzine.
Hey, this is Farzine calling Paladino Live. Joey, welcome to TSS, and good luck with your podcast here. You were talking a lot about the Wolves and how they're trying to rebuild, especially since they've had Kevin Garnett for the past couple of years, and it was no secret that he wanted out. There just seems to be a lot of trade rumors in the NBA. A couple of the Zach Randolph, Pau Gasol, those guys have been traded. Looks like they're going to stay with their teams. But what about the Wolves? Do they have a chance at getting anyone in specific, at least before the season? Or maybe in the offseason? I mean, Jason Kidd or Shaq. I know Shaq's having his issues, but I don't know if any of them would want to go to the Wolves. Do you see any possibility right there? What do you think? I'm out of here. Take it easy and good luck again.
All right. Well, I thank you for the call, Farzine, and good points. Thank you again. It's great to be here at TSS. It is wonderful. This is my first ever podcast, my first ever show, but ultimately on the Wolves. Now, about getting Shaq or Kidd, there is no chance that either of those two will play for the Timberwolves because they are the kind of players, they're in their 30s. They are going to, if they do get traded, they will go to a team that needs to win right now, like the Dallas Mavericks, San Antonio Spurs, Phoenix Suns, even the Orlando Magic may be in the mix with somebody, I'm thinking. But the Lakers obviously are done trading because, Farzine, woo! Boy, did your club come ahead in that trade. Giving up 2 first-round draft picks, yeah, that's expensive. But the thing is, the Lakers are probably going to win 55 to 65 games, the next 2 years or so or whatever it is. So you're looking at a 25 to 30-ish pick in the first round. So it's not like those picks are going to be, it's not like those picks are going to be the next Shaq or Kidd. So great job, LA Lakers. They even kept Lamar Odom. I almost forgot about him. But, sorry, and to answer your question, I do believe the Wolves are going to make some type of deal, and here's why I believe that. Remember Gerald Green, how he wasn't playing at all? And he wasn't playing at all. He was out of the rotation, but then the agent comes out and says he'd like to make a trade, and now all of a sudden Green's playing a little bit. Now, why do you think that is? I believe that is because they're showcasing Gerald Green. Now, he's not exactly playing 30 minutes a game, but I think they want teams to see what he can do to attract at least some value. I personally wish the Wolves would keep Gerald Green. I wish they did the opposite with how they handled Gerald Green and Rashad McCants. I believe I said this last week. I wish they renewed Green's contract. They took the team option and declined the team option on McCants instead, or maybe took it on both of them, I guess. I guess that'd probably be the best thing they could have done. But instead, they, with McCants becoming an unrestricted free agent in the summer, I think they will try to make some type of deal, hopefully involving the likes of an Anton Walker or even a Buckner, who's completely not playing, but he could be like a nice veteran presence on somebody's bench, deep on somebody's bench, of course. I wouldn't be surprised if some type of move is made. I personally would not mind if McCants was involved in the trade. I think he could get something in return for you. That way certain players would get more playing time. But now they're finally starting Brewer, so I do believe some type of trade could be happening. There's been almost no rumors at all so far, but someone out there might like a Gerald Green or maybe an Antoine Walker, believe it or not. There might be a soul out there who wants Antoine Walker on their team, a veteran team. Maybe Dallas would take him back, maybe, even though he didn't really do that well there. But yeah, I don't see the Wolves getting any type of veteran guy unless it's somebody that's kind of a backup guy, maybe another Buckner type, I guess, but that certainly wouldn't excite anybody. Maybe only for the sole purpose of salary cap relief. Like how they got Theo Ratliff for that purpose. He's got a $12 million contract that's coming off the books this year. $12 million this year, and obviously that cap space will be freed up. So, yeah, that's how I see the Wolves going into Feb 21st. That is only about 2.5 weeks away. So that's one of my favorite days of the year, of course. So ultimately, I'm sure there's going to be some type of stuff going on between now and then. You got to think. Jason Kidd will be traded, almost certainly will be traded. Shaq, I don't know. Where's he going to go? I don't know. I think the Heat would be smart if they could trade him, but isn't his contract just ridiculous? Here's another place to go to look at contracts. So I might get off the Wolves a little bit and just kind of generalize NBA a little bit. Since we're nearing trade talk, I'm going to look at the Miami Heat here. It's hoopshype.com. salaries. Yeah, Shaq is making $20 million this year, $20 million next year, and $20 million the year after. So at least they're all the same. But that's an extensive price for a guy who's averaging 14 points and under 8 rebounds a game. And, every time he has a hangnail, he's on the bench for 3 weeks. So, and don't get me wrong, I love Shaq. I really do. I mean, I really loved what he brought to L.A., and in a lot of ways, I do think the Laker fans didn't appreciate really what he brought to them. I mean, he really helped them get their 3 titles. I mean, he's not the only reason they won, of course. I mean, Phil Jackson is probably the main reason. Well, he would have to be the main reason that team won championships, because he got those guys to work together finally when they were, squabbling, in the Del Harris era. Del Harris is a good coach, but for some reason he couldn't get those 2 mega personalities to work together, Kobe and Shaq. But, I mean, at $20 million a year with 2.5 years left on the deal, Shaquille O'Neal, I don't know. I don't know. I would like to see him play on a different team and maybe make some playoff run. I remember Dallas was interested in him a long time ago. Back when he was about to leave the Lakers. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to pause again for a second. I'll be back in like a flash because, you don't really get dead air here. I'll be 1 second. Well, there's that. I apologize. I'm back immediately. Obviously, it was just a little click for you. Well, the Heat do have a lot of salary coming off the books here. The Miami Heat salaries on hoopshype.com. Gosh, they have $20 million coming off the books. So they'll have room to do some stuff. They do have Wade signed long term, so that's good for them. 2010-2011 at $17.1 million a year. Mil that year, that is the final year. So that is a player option. So Wade, I believe by that point the Heat will have a improved roster. I mean, the Heat have a worse record than the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, I mean, with Shaq and Wade, hello, hello, hear me knocking? I mean, why? I mean, Pat Riley's the coach too, by the way. It's not like it's Jimmy Rogers, coaching the Miami Heat. So I really don't know why they're stuck in this bad. I mean, other than it's just injuries, a lot of, Ricky Davis, boy, I don't imagine he's really a real help to their locker room over there, along with, Mark Blunt. Boy, that was a pretty bad trade for the Miami Heat. I know Walker sucked, and he's kind of a cancer a little bit. Mainly, I wouldn't say he's much of a personality cancer as he is a player, as just the way he plays. That's where he's cancerous, because he's constantly, every time he puts the ball on the floor, guess what? He ain't going to pass. He ain't going to pass. Me and Marcus, forecaster, my friend Marcus, noticed that, he's a fellow NBA guru. We like to talk basketball, and he'll be on this show at some point. If we can get him to speak up a little bit into the mic, that would help. Like Farzine did very nicely on that call-in, by the way. That's how radio should sound, baby. But, Walker, just, it's just, we noticed that every time that he puts the ball on the floor. I mean, sometimes he'll hang on to the ball and then he'll pass it. But there wasn't one bleeping time he put the ball on the floor that he passed it. Every time. And you know what? He just flies into the basket wildly, at the ripe age of, 31, 32, and he still plays like a rookie sometimes, by doing that kind of stuff. I mean, come on, man. And I used to love Walker, being a Celtics fan. When he was there in the late 90s, early 2000s, whatever they call this decade, man, I loved him. I thought he was underrated, underappreciated. But, I mean, I guess there was stuff like that used to just piss people off. But then again, back then he used to make his shots, though, when he'd, hog the ball going down in the lane or whatever the heck he does, jacking up threes all day. So, yeah, that's where we're at right now with that. I still think that was a good trade for the Wolves. We got a draft pick. We got rid of Blunt. I mean, Mark Blunt. Yeah. I mean, the funny part is he's doing good on Miami. So, yeah, Miami, yeah. Since Mark Blunt's playing good, if there is one dodo bird out there that's interested in him, trade him immediately. Trade him immediately. He's a penny stock that just shot up a little bit. Sell that worthless piece of crap. Get him out of there. That's how you trade stocks. That's how you trade players. I used to love being able to do that on NBA 2K7. Oh, this player's on fire. Trade him. Get him out of here. You get somebody decent in return, like, with Troy Hudson I did one time because he was on fire for some reason. Traded his butt, because you can't count on someone like him. But ultimately, gosh, the Miami Heat are going to have $3 more million available salary cap-wise than the Wolves next year. So I just noticed that. The good part is Walker, in 2009-2010, his contract is a team option. I don't think he's going to be here that year. I just don't. So next year you can consider an expiring contract for Walker. He's going to be paid $9.3 million next year. And looking at the salaries again with the Wolves, man, I hate seeing all these contracts of these players that aren't even here. Benno Udrith, a guy, or Udrih, or however you say his name, man, he would have been a nice backup point guard, huh? I mean, who saw that coming? He was buried on the Spurs bench. He gets traded here for like a second round pick or something, and or whatever it was, or cash, I think, something weird. And we get rid of him immediately, but his figure's still on the salary cap for this year. Big deal. Who saw him being a nice player though, and filling in for the injured Mike Bibby the first half of the season? That was pretty entertaining, to say the least. Obviously, yes, there it is. Gerald Green gone off the books. If you're following on hoopshype.com, salaries, teams, Minnesota Timberwolves. So, yeah, Hudson still on the books until 2010, I believe. That stinks. For some reason, I thought after next year, though, the contract could be voided. I'm not sure. Hoops Hype isn't exactly the most detailed, other than it says team option and player option. They actually made a mistake on Greg Buckner's deal. It is a team option after next year, I believe. So, whereas it's saying it's a player option in his third year or fourth year, whatever it is, 2011 for Buckner, that is inaccurate. So we'll have some cap space soon here in Minnesota. Just not right away. We're gonna have a little bit next year, a little teeny bit, not much. We're probably not gonna make any type of splash, I'm guessing, unless it's through trades this summer. But the year after, though, there is gonna be some space. So it could be interesting. We're gonna obviously have to ink Foy at some point. I believe after next year, Foy will be eligible for a long-term extension, as Al Jefferson was at one point. So that's how things are going currently with the Wolves, at least the salary-wise. And, yeah, I look at salaries because trades have to match, and, you look at stuff. You look at what you're getting in return. So that's why I'm looking at salaries a little bit today. So that's pretty much what that is. Give me one quick second. Got to pause here. I'm back right away again. I apologize for that. There was a phone ringing in the background. That's always nice when you're trying to make a show. So that's how that is. So really, that's the Wolves' salary situation. I'm going to look more at the scores now again. So that's going to take a second for the thing to reload. There it is. Craig Smith, though, by the way, there's a guy I was talking about, seeing him possibly leave. Hey, it wouldn't hurt if they made a decision on Ryan Gomes or Craig Smith before the February 21st deadline. It wouldn't hurt, because being both of them are going in next year as an unrestricted free agent, or then again, they might be restricted. I can't remember the rules. Craig Smith might be restricted, but yeah, I don't know. It's the roster thing, roster spot and minutes. They managed to get both of them decent playing time against the Clippers. Granted, that was the Clippers. It wasn't the Suns or the Spurs or anything. But both of them played very well in that game. As here we are, 18 points. This is Ryan Gomes, 18 points, 9 rebounds, 1 assist. So only 1 foul, so that means he, didn't screw around defensively. Where Craig Smith, here's the difference between those two. Craig Smith had 4 personal fouls in 27.5 minutes. Craig Smith, 21 points, 7 rebounds. So he rebounded a little bit less, and I kind of think Gomes is a slightly better rebounder than Smith. He's clearly a better outside shooter than Craig Smith. Smith has no jump shot whatsoever. He pretty much, his game is to put his backside on the guy, back him into the hoop, and put up that little baby hook or whatever you call that play that he does, and it can be very effective. Like when he's on, like that night, my God, 9 of 11. So he had a phenomenal game. Made all of his free throws too, apparently, and he had the highest plus minus on the team, plus 28 for the game. As now they're showing that on a game basis, whatever. But yeah, still, as you can see, Craig Smith 4 personal fouls versus Gomes 1. That obviously means that Smith had a little trouble defensively. It looks like against Al Thornton, I would guess. Yeah, it would have to have been Al Thornton, who played 42 minutes. And, boy, he had 11 free throw attempts in the game. Crazy. Thornton only 1 of 15 from the floor. Holy moly. Shoot, I didn't see that stat right away. So Al Thornton was a guy the Wolves were rumored to be after in the draft. 8 of his mere 10 points were scored from the line. Only 1 field goal. That's interesting. I didn't see how nasty of a line that was. But on Ryan Gomes, here's one thing I've been noticing, though, all year, and I haven't brought it up yet. I want him shooting, not driving to the basket. At least not right now, because, that's me as a coach. I'm not the coach of the team, and I understand that. So sorry if I'm saying I want, but as a fan, I would prefer that Ryan Gomes continue putting up his mid-range jumpers rather than driving into the basket, because that seems to be his weakness. I don't know why, but, he can't seem to finish, on his he can't seem to finish when he drives to the basket. I don't know why. And Sebastian Telfer has that same problem where he'll have, easy lanes to the basket and he'll blow a layup, and it drives everybody nuts. At least it drives me nuts. You got to finish on those. I mean, it doesn't take much to really improve at that. Just how about put a little extra time with fundamentals, and it helps. I mean, that helps me. I play basketball very often, and back in the day when I couldn't finish ever, I simply walk up to the basket and just kind of would put the ball off the backboard and into the hoop over and over and over and over again. That's all they have. That you wouldn't believe how much that helps. It changes like everything. One other funny thing I noticed, so many NBA players don't go off the backboard. I don't know if it's a fanciness thing or what it is, when they lay a ball in. But anyhow, I'm hardly qualified to coach NBA players at this point. So I apologize if I sounded a little bit goofy there. It's just, you notice things about guys, and it's like, my God, they're getting paid a fortune, and they don't even do fundamental things. It's annoying. So, I mean, I've wanted to coach for a while. Just haven't gotten into that. Like coach kids, coach adults, whatever. But there's things like that can get to a guy sometimes, especially as a fan when you want your team to succeed and they blow easy chances. So, the Ryan Gomes and Craig Smith, that is going to be a debate as we, A, head to the trading deadline, and B, even more importantly, because I do think both of them will be on this roster, even though they would make attractive trade bait, I believe. I think they'd make very attractive trade bait to a team that, could use a nice player on their roster, that's trying to make a playoff run. And either one of those would be a great addition to a team, but the Wolves probably won't want to trade either one of them at this point. They may want to keep both. I'm not convinced that they can. But that will be a debate on which one stays, which one goes with fans, at least on this show, and maybe in general. They also have the McCants and Green debate. I'm pro-Green, anti-McCants, and pro-Gomes, and semi-anti-Smith. I like Smith, but just not sure you can keep both of them on the roster and, get the most out of both of them if they're both here, I guess I should say. So with that, I'll be looking to close the show as I'm approaching 40 minutes. So, I prefer the show will be a teeny bit longer than a half hour, as long as it's okay with Dylan and others out there, as long as I'm not boring the listeners. So I hope you're enjoying this show, and I will continue to post these up at least once a week. It could be Mondays. It depends on my schedule because my schedule fluctuates with the kind of job I'm in right now. We'll see what happens. But I really ask you to continue to listen to this show and definitely check out my YouTube. And don't forget, I do have an email address, paladinolive@yahoo.com. Also add me on AIM, Paladino Live, or Yahoo Messenger, Paladino Live. That's the screen name. So please add me if you like, and we can talk some sports or anything else. Heck, be it politics. I mean, being it's an election year, I may get into a little politics on this show. So don't be surprised if you hear a teeny bit of political talk here and there. I'm not going to get into it too much because I know this isn't the politicalstuff.com. This is thesportstuff.com, and let's all get along, baby. So anyhow, I wish you all a good week, as I shall return very soon. I might post another show this week. We'll see. But at the latest, a week from now, Paladino Live returns to the podcast. And I will talk to you soon.